Hi, I'm Doreen, and today I wanted to talk about Genesis 16, 7 to 16. Um, in this passage, it's about Abram um, and Hagar and Sarai. So, Abram at this point had taken the servant Hagar to produce a child for Sarai, who was barren. Sarai mistreated Hagar. Hagar left and headed for her homeland. She made it to a spring of water in the desert to rest. Hagar knew of God. She was probably a bit afraid of her circumstances and what would happen to her. In Genesis 7, the angel of the Lord finds Hagar. The angel tells her what to do, go back to Sarai, and promises her he will increase her descendants. God is compassionate and concerned for this poor, confused servant girl. Then Hagar, encouraged by her experience, gives God a new name, the God who sees. And then she returns back to Sarai, and Ishmael is born. So God saw Hagar's affliction. She saw his mercy and love and followed him. God does not forget us. God sees all we are and all we're going through and is there with us. He never loses sight. We must trust him. I love the name, the God who sees. It's such a comfort that to know that God sees us where we are, good, bad, or indifferent. There's no need to explain or argue or persuade God. How many times do we try to tell God how we feel or what's happened to us? God's already seen. He knows what will happen. He knows our hearts. All we have to do, like Hagar, is do what he tells us. So this passage, Genesis 16, was in a Bible study at the beginning of the summer. And I chose the line, the God who sees, because I just focused on that. It just brought me such comfort to know that no matter what's going on, that God already sees us. He already sees me. He already sees me in whatever's going on. And he just jumps right in there to help. And I focused on that this whole summer, that one line. And every time I feel like I'm in a situation that isn't quite going right, I just think the God who sees me. And that brings me a lot of comfort knowing that in this trying situation that you maybe want to run from, you want to blame others, you want to complain, or it's much easier to just humble myself and just be like, well, God sees, God knows. And if I listen, if I just truly listen, he'll tell me what to do and lead me to where I am. A situation occurred to me or happened the other day. There was a woman I had an encounter with who got very angry and was yelling and screaming at me for something. And I could have lashed back out at her. I could have, you know, run away from her. And, I just took care of what I had to do. And I said thank you and I walked away. And the thing that struck me though is she emailed me and said, she never really apologized. She just kind of explained her situation and made an excuse for it. And that brought back this passage again, the God who sees. Like, God knows what's going on. And I can understand that things were going on in her life. And it enabled me to just walk away from her. But it also enabled me to go, God sees me and God knows my heart. And I was able to humble myself at that moment and keep myself happy and in God's presence. I think it's so comforting just to know that there, there's God there who we don't have to work so hard for to be blessed. And and just to know that in our trials, that God is using those trials sometimes to pick us up and give us some fresh ideas or visions of him that maybe we've missed. And sometimes in difficult situations, it's very hard to see God at work. But if we can quiet ourselves, we can know that God is there, working and doing all that He can. And it's so funny. One of the things that this also brings to mind when I think of the God who sees me is in the movie The Shack. There was a scene where God is sitting on a rocking chair on a porch with sunglasses on, just rocking back and forth. And the main character comes up and is like, "Oh, I see you're just relaxing." And God answers and says, "Oh, if you could only know what I'm doing." And this passage very much brings that to mind, that glimpse, that idea that God's there. And I think it's important that we just take our time and we just think that God is there. He sees everything we're going through and everything we do and loves us all the same. Thank you.